Apple Notes is a great notes app if you've got a Mac or an iPhone, but as we've all found out, it doesn't provide a good mechanism to export all of your notes into other formats to use with other apps or platforms. My name is Constantine, and I'm going to show you how to export all your Apple Notes into different formats using my Mac app, Apple Notes Exporter. If you've been following this project for any amount of time, you'll know that this started off as an Apple script in 2022, became a Mac OS app in 2023, I made further enhancements to the app in 2024, and finally now, in the big 2025, I'm pleased to announce that I have released version 1.0 of the Apple Notes Exporter. It has major performance improvements, along with customization options for the different export formats, and it's finally able to export as a PDF. Without any further ado, let's get into how to use it. So we're going to start by getting the app. You can do that by going to the GitHub page linked in the video description. The area of concern is going to be the releases page over here on the right. Go to the releases page, and then you'll see the history of all the different versions that I've released, the latest being version 1.0 build 3. So the file that you're going to want to download to get the app is going to be the Apple Notes Exporter.zip file, as opposed to the source code. Now you can download the source code if you want to inspect and audit it at your own pace, but the thing that's going to actually get you an app that you can run right now is going to be the Apple Notes Exporter zip file. So I'm going to download that. That's going to go to your downloads folder or wherever you've set. You can just open it, and it will extract it, and you will see the Apple Notes Explorer application. Now, before we go and run this, there's a couple things that we want to do preliminary to make sure that you can run it. So go ahead and open up System Settings, and then in System Settings, you'll go to Privacy and Security. In Privacy and Security, you're first going to want to make sure that you're allowing applications from the App Store and known developers as a source, and then we're going to grant full disk access permissions to Apple Notes Exporter. That way it can read your notes database to be able to export your notes. So find the full disk access category, and then in this list, if you don't see Apple Notes Explorer, which you won't, you'll hit the plus button, Authenticate, and then go to Apple Notes Exporter app, wherever you have that saved. You'll just have to navigate to it, select it, and then hit open. And then it's going to be in this list. You want to make sure that the switch is checked on. If there's a checkbox or you're on the older version of Mac OS, you can just make sure that that's checked, and that's the same thing. And now that we've set all that up, you can double click and open this to run the Apple Notes Exporter. And then hit open if you're prompted for security. And then you're going to get this license window. So just say that you accept the license terms. This is licensed under the MIT license, meaning that it's open source. Anybody can redistribute it and redistribute the code, and then there is no warranty of any kind. This is pretty standard. Hit continue. And it's going to immediately go and query your notes database from your Apple Notes app, and it's going to select all notes. So to select notes, you can hit select here, and you can expand this and then navigate. In my Apple Notes app, if I bring this up, you'll see that I have a folder called Export Test, and then I have an Ultimate Testing Note, which has all of the features that Apple Notes typically has. And then going back to the Apple Notes Exporter, I'm just going to leave everything selected, including the Export Test. You can selectively, if you don't want to include a fitness folder, for example, you can deselect that, or if you only want one folder or one note, you can just select those, but I'm just going to have everything selected. Next option is going to be to choose your export format. This app supports HTML, PDF, LaTeX, Markdown, rich text, and plain text. So you can choose like the base font size for HTML. For LaTeX, you can do a custom template. And then for Markdown, there are no options. To plain text, there are no options. Those are pretty basic. But for the things that support options, you can change those. I'm going to use HTML for this first export. And we'll choose an export folder. So I'm going to go to my desktop, I'm going to make a new folder called Apple Notes, and then select that, and then you can see that path reflected here, and then when you're all ready, just hit export. This new version supports multi-threading, so it's very fast compared to the old version. Of course, I say that and it immediately gets stuck as at a note, but if you're worried about errors, it's getting stuck, you can hit this View Export Log, and you're going to get a list of all the notes and all the attachments as they're exporting, just a log. And then green means success, red will mean failure. You can choose to only show all or show errors only with this option on the bottom of this window. But I'm going to close that for now, and we're going to wait. It'll only take about 40 more seconds. And then this will hit your computer pretty hard. It'll intelligently use how many export threads based on how many cores and how much RAM your computer has. But if you have an older Mac, it might slow down the Mac. I'd recommend running this alone without doing anything too demanding alongside it. And you can even do this while the Notes app is running. Just make sure you're not editing notes while you're exporting. Alright, that just finished. Exporting completed successfully. If we view the log, there are no errors. Hit close. And now we can see under Apple Notes, this will be organized according to your folders. So iCloud is my main folder. One thing to note about this app is it only supports exporting from the iCloud and on my Mac accounts. So if you're using like Yahoo email or Gmail and you're using notes within Gmail, you're going to want to move those notes or those folders into a folder within your iCloud or within your On My Mac account for them to be picked up by Apple Notes Explorer. But if I go through here, we'll see that same fitness folder and all of these HTML files. And if I go to that ultimate export test, under export test, you'll see the attachments are saved into a folder that's named the same thing as the note, just with paren attachments. And if I actually open this, here's that ultimate testing note. You can see the table is working, the monospace is working, all the notes and sublevels are working. The link cards show as these elements with the link emoji, and then the PDF will show as a PDF document attachment, and then those will show as their own independent type of attachments based on the type of file. And then of course images like this seal, the state of Colorado, this will just be inline. And then of course you can click these attachments and they will link to the folder, to the attachments relative to the note. So you'll see that it's actually linking to the shell script file within the attachments folder alongside the note. So it's dependent on you not renaming the folder and you not moving the note around, but this will be different for each format, of course. So I can just choose PDF, and for that I'm only going to do the export test. I'm going to export. And it might take a little bit longer. PDF will definitely take longer for the whole library. PDF might also freeze on certain notes, and you might get an error message saying, hey, we may or may not have been able to export this. But now here's your PDF file. And what we'll see is that it looks a lot like a normal Apple Notes PDF export would look. This is set to letter because we're in the US, but you can change page size in the options. Here, I'll show you how to do that. PDF, options, and then you can choose down here page size based on what type of paper or page size you want the PDFs to have. But you can see it's just like the HTML file, only here you're not able to link for the actual attachments. I'm actually going to run through the full export one more time with PDF set as the format, and we'll see if we can get any errors to come up. Typically the PDF errors don't actually mean that it failed, it means that it just timed out and couldn't get a timely response from the PDF rendering engine. So I'm just going to hit export and we'll see how long the PDF export takes. So PDF export, as you can see, it's already hanging on certain things. If I go to errors, we'll wait until any errors come up. So here we go, this is one of our first errors. Failed to export note. 2015 Ford Focus hatchback, that's from when I was selling a car, and it has lots of pictures. So one of the notes it says is PDF generation timed out after 60 seconds. This note may contain many large images or corrupted attachments. So if it's trying to insert the images inline, sometimes it'll have this issue when it's exporting as a PDF. Now if I were to go and open these two notes that failed, what we'll see is that the notes are actually fine. So here we'll see that the PDF was actually generated successfully. It's just for whatever reason that thread times out and then it has to skip it. Before I had the logic where it would time out, the Apple Notes exporter would just hang indefinitely. So if it takes longer than a minute to export any particular note, it's just going to skip it or kill that export and then move on. Usually the note actually exported just fine. That's it. You've successfully exported all of your Apple Notes. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And please share this video with people you know that might also be frustrated with Apple Notes and the lack of export options. Apple Notes Exporter is completely free and open source on GitHub. The link is in the video description. If you run into any issues or have other feature requests, you can open an issue on GitHub, shoot me an email, or leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I've been maintaining this project since 2022 based entirely on user feedback, so please let me know if there's anything you'd like me to add to the app, other formats, bug fixes, anything of that nature. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.